people are really, really happy in these homes because they are fully realized homes. Like the owners of these homes live in them themselves. You're not going to find a cheap plastic spatula, one spatula for, a 4-bedroom house. You're going to find, Cuisinart. You're going to find, Victorinox knives. You're going to find like the stuff that they use. And I think that's sort of, the difference with our homeowners than, people that just see it as an investment property.
This is episode number 91 of the Short-Term Rental Success Stories podcast.
Are you an investor that's looking to have your home professionally managed? Go to cohostit.com for more information. Welcome back to Short-Term Rental Success Stories. I'm your host, Julian Sage. This is a show where I talk to hosts about their journeys in starting and growing their short-term rental business. My goal is that you'll be able to walk away with practical information that'll help you become a better host and learn how to scale your business. Like any exceptional host, we all strive for 5-star reviews, so please go on over to iTunes and let us know what you enjoy, as it really helps support the show. If you haven't done so already, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation, to connect with the community.
Hey, what is going on, Host Nation? I'm super excited to be back again with you this week. So I hope everybody had a fantastic New Year's. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope that everybody was able to take a nice break and just kind of relax. I know that I did. Sorry for not posting the past couple of weeks on the Success Stories podcast, but I needed to take a little bit of a break. I actually ended up going back down to Florida to spend time with my mom. I relaxed a little bit, and then there was the new year. So, I just focused on just reorganizing myself, making sure that I had my goals in line and that I was actually, clarifying my mission, vision, and principles, making sure that everything is in line for the new year. It's been a crazy year on all fronts, as far as growth, as far as stress. There's been a lot of things that have definitely been pulling and stretching this year. So I always think that it's important to be able to take a little bit of a break, a breather, and just to reorganize yourself, get prepared for the new year. I am really excited for 2021. And if you haven't been listening to our other podcast, the Vacation Rental Machine podcast, then you can actually hear John and I's thoughts, some of our projections, what we believe is going to be the future of short-term rentals in 2021. I think that 2021 personally is going to be the year of short-term rentals. I think things are going to go really well. Obviously, I'm very bullish on short-term rentals, so I'm excited for the new year to be able to bring more hosts to you guys, share more knowledge, and help you guys grow in your short-term rental businesses. In this episode, I had the honor of speaking with Brad Greiner. Brad is the CEO of Open Air Homes, a short-term rental management company based out of Los Angeles and Palm Springs that has around 80 properties under management. In this episode, Brad shares his experience of being a filmmaker on a very tight budget, very tough situation, and having to rent his luxury estate, only to discover that his property was able to make a very significant income. Brad shares how he was eventually able to turn from a struggling filmmaker to a profitable luxury short-term rental management company, how he scaled his business, and the challenges of a city that is changing its regulations, and how to find the right management clients, especially if you are trying to target people that are a little bit more premium, a little bit more of the high-end luxury real estate. This is a great episode, and Brad shares a lot of invaluable advice. Of course, if you like my show notes for this episode, go to shorttermsage.com/STR91, or if you like my show notes sent directly to your inbox every week, then go to shorttermsage.com/show notes. Also, if you haven't checked out the site in a little bit, we've updated it, updated the logo, updated the aesthetic, the feel. Hope you guys like it. Let me know what you guys think of the branding and kind of the new way that we are going to be moving forward. It's always kind of growing and changing, but I'd love to be able to hear your thoughts as well. With all that being said, on to this week's conversation. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Short-Term Rental Success Stories. In this episode, I have the special honor of speaking with Brad Greiner. Brad, would you please introduce yourself to the Host Nation, let them know who you are and what inspired you to get into short-term rentals?
Hi, my name is Brad Greiner. I'm the CEO of Open Air Homes. What inspired me to get into short-term rentals? I would say I was inspired to get into short-term rentals. It sort of happened as an accident. I was faced with a moment where I wasn't going to be able to afford my mortgage anymore at my house. And, it was right around the time where Airbnb, it wasn't yet, people weren't talking about it, but amongst certain people, it was becoming more of a relevant thing. And so I decided to throw my one room of the house on Airbnb to see how it would do. And so for the first probably 6 months, just one bedroom of the 4-bedroom house was rented out, and that was going really well. And it was sort of before the time where there was any luxury properties that were on Airbnb. And so I just decided to throw the whole house on Airbnb and see how it would do and move out. And I was really surprised at how well it did, like right away. And so that sort of was the start, and it kind of just grew from there by word of mouth for the past what is that, 9 years, and then or 8 years. And so just recently we kind of started to advertise and start to build our brand. We sort of felt like we needed a long time to learn how to do hospitality and property management and all these things really well before we really wanted to kind of expand too rapidly.
So you said it was a luxury property. What were you so afraid of with listing the property online? Did you have to did it come furnished, or was it like an unfurnished property that you had to furnish it?
Yeah, so it's a furnished property. It's a really nice house, and so I was just renting out one bedroom. I was still living there, so I was in the kitchen with people from all over the world, talking to them about their experience for coming to LA, and then I think the leap to jump to list it long term, or to list it as a the whole house, the entire property. My reluctance at first was just that was such an entirely new business for Airbnb. It was sort of built at the beginning on sharing a room, and no one was doing luxury full home rentals on Airbnb. So being one of the first, there was this like unknown demand. And right away, we just started to get so many inquiries, so many requests that we had to keep raising the rates. And, I sort of realized in that moment that, oh, there's a business opportunity here. Before that, I was producing films. I had really no intention at first of getting into hospitality, but then that sort of is what changed.
So this was your primary residence. And when you say luxury, like what do you classify as a luxury piece of real estate?
Well, something that would be probably in the Lux division of Airbnb. I know they're not nationwide or around the world with their Lux division, but I think I put it for list at about $750 a night when we first started renting the whole house, and then really the market rate was actually closer to $1,300 or $1,400 a night. I got it way wrong at the beginning, and because like I'm saying, it was an entirely new business. The luxury division wasn't yet established yet. And then later came luxury retreats. And then later, that was bought by Airbnb. And so, we have our roots built within the luxury industry. It's not all that we do at Open Air Homes, but that's sort of where we started.
So you have this property and you're living in it. You're just renting out a room. What did that look like? I mean, you have a piece of luxury real estate. What does a piece of, a single room in a luxury building look like?
I think we were renting it for about $250 a night. One of our first renters, I have a Bernese Mountain Dog, and he loved that we had one of those as well. So he felt like he was right at home. And so I think he was paying about $250 a night. He stayed probably for about 10 days. We became friends with him. And I never really wanted to pursue this route of, having 4 different people in my home at any given time. That felt like a lot. And really to this day, we're no longer doing shared spaces. We're doing entire home listings only. It's just sort of, we wanted to be more niche, and it seems to be where we've landed.
So what made you really decide, you move out of the home, this is like your own personal residence, and then you just start renting the whole piece of property without knowing, really even how much you can be charging?
Yeah, we didn't know how much we can be charging. And, for me, I don't have this, what do I want to say? Like the way that I see possessions and the possessions that I own, I'm so happy to share them. I don't have any, issues with having other people share what I own. So for me, moving out was really, really simple. And it worked out really, really well. Like I'm saying, the other thing about Los Angeles, compared to kind of a lot of other places within short-term rentals, we have extremely high occupancy, and we're not the low-cost leaders here either. We charge really high rates, and yet still our occupancy, I think across our company, when the homeowners work with us on the pricing, our occupancy is about 86 and 86.5% year round.
So you move out of this property, and did you just you moved into a rental, or did you have to purchase another property? Kind of what was the next step for you?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I was in kind of a rough moment financially. Producing films was really hard, and I'm glad I kind of got out of that industry. So I moved into a rental property down in Venice Beach, and then fell in love with Venice Beach, and then that's sort of where really our business kind of took root, and we started to manage a lot more homes down in Venice Beach. And then over the course of a couple of years, bought some properties, started to flip them, fix them up. We've only ever sold one property in doing this, but we do fix them all up. The one that I'm sitting in right now, we just fixed it up over the past 3 weeks, getting ready to list it any minute here. So, it's we're part home flipping company, part design. We do design services for people as well. But yeah.
When you listed that primary residence, that piece of luxury real estate, did you automatically just say that this is going to be like your new business focus and that you're going to get out of the film industry, or how did that kind of shift?
There was a while where I was doing both at the same time. I didn't really see this as a business opportunity at first. I really saw it as a way to pay my mortgage, first and foremost. Venture capitalists came and stayed at the house. He stayed for 2 months, and he sort of told me in that moment, he's like, I think you're in the process of developing a business here. And so there wasn't, for the first 2 years or so, it wasn't really about developing a business. It was about sort of, the name even Open Air Homes didn't exist at that time. So at first, really, I was producing film still. I was still working in both industries, but I didn't really see it as a business until probably I didn't see it as a business until I started managing other people's properties. And the way that happened was we'd have a guest stay in one of our homes and say, you guys are doing this so well. We're so glad we found you. A lot of times if you're renting from the booking platforms, it's really hit or miss. Even if a home has 5-star reviews, you don't really know what you're going to get when you walk in. And so we've built such a loyal base of customers because we're obsessed with 5-star reviews. Our entire company, that's like the thing that we do. We are obsessed with making sure every single person that comes in our home is treated well. It's managed well. It's we are very, very obsessed with that experience for the guests. And so one of our guests ended up buying a home, and it was this stunningly beautiful home. And they said, we're only going to live here about 3 months a year. Do you want to manage it the other 9? And we're like, great, let's do it. And so then that really was the start of the business. That's when we decided I'm no longer just flipping homes for myself. I'm managing other people's properties. And so that sort of led kind of to the entire start of the whole business.
So that first person that offered, to you to be able to manage their property, at that point, did the business just take off, or what were some of the things that happened at that point?
There's a lot of growing pains. I've seen a lot of other companies in our space grow really, really rapidly. A lot of times they raise a lot of venture capital and they just buy up all the competition and they try to meld them into one company. A lot of times what happens in that case is they get really low reviews. And so I kind of forget the question, but there was this big learning curve that we undertook, especially when you're managing other people's properties. It changes entirely from doing your own. So I don't.
The question was did it just kind of come naturally? Was it just a lot of the hosts that we talked to on the show, a lot of their business comes from referral. So were you actively going out there and trying to, grow your business, or was this all just word of mouth and it kind of happened naturally?
Oh yeah, it was all word of mouth. I wasn't actively growing at all. We had a marketing budget of $0. Back to what I was talking about occupancy. We didn't have to spend money on marketing to try to bring in guests. Airbnb was doing really, really well. So was VRBO for us. I guess it's Verbo now. And so, we never really had to market, and it was just what was happening is our guests would stay in our homes. They would love what we did, what we were doing. I think that they had decided in that moment, wow, I could own a home in LA. Open Air Homes could manage it. And, when I'm traveling to Europe, when I'm living in New York, whatever the case, monetize their asset. And so I think that was this amazing, kind of idea that Airbnb launched into the world, was that for the first time ever, your asset, one of your largest assets, your home, could be monetized when you're not in town. So it just kind of grew by word of mouth based off of that good idea that Airbnb sort of unleashed into the world, and really. And
was there no vacation rentals in the LA area? I know a lot of people like to travel to LA, and I hear it all the time. Oh man, I'd love to have a piece of property and for it to pay for itself. But or just nobody doing that, or has that changed recently?
Well, I'm sure there were people that were renting out homes long before Airbnb came around, on Craigslist, on things like that. I know when we would travel as a family, we would sometimes rent a home. Usually it's more in a location that's on the beach somewhere when we would do it. But I'm sure there were some people doing it in LA, but really it seemed to take off right around the time when Airbnb started to pick up steam, and people started to just the demand outgrew the supply at one point. And then I think a lot of home investors saw that, and everyone bought up a bunch of homes, so that demand has always kind of been right there with supply, at least in Los Angeles.
You say that you work primarily with like luxury real estate. Is that the primary focus of open air homes right now?
Well, so we have a design segment of our business, and I believe that good design can happen at any price point. So in that discussion with the homeowner, when we're deciding whether or not we want to work with a homeowner partner, we ask a lot of questions to make sure that they care about the guest experience as much as we do. I don't want to be operating. Our world is in a really rough moment. And who knows where it's going, but I don't want to just be catering to the wealthy. It's not as fun as sort of trying to really kind of this idea that design can happen at any price point. Design a lot of times is like the right size furniture. There's a lot to it more than just buying fancy expensive furniture and only kind of catering to the wealthy. So we skew a little bit more affordable as well. Everyone's definition of affordable is a little bit different, but we don't want to just be in the luxury space.
Did you have any prior real estate experience to this, or were you just focused on film and just kind of fell into real estate and all these things as you kind of progressed through managing properties?
Yeah, so I completely fell into real estate. I'm not an agent as well. We saw trends, a major correlation between short-term rentals and real estate about 3 years ago. And so we sort of started to put plans in place to start a real estate brokerage. Like I said, I'm not an agent, but we have a team called OA Real Estate Group with Douglas Elliman, and they're doing great. There's a big correlation between short-term rentals and real estate, and a lot of our guests that are staying here, we're the first person they meet when they come to LA, and if we can impress them with hospitality and they buy a home through our real estate team and then have us manage it, it sort of is this. They call it a golden circle where, your business just keeps growing because one does really well and, you impress them and then the other one would do well. So I fell into real estate. And like I said, I'm not an agent, but there are a team of agents that work at our company.
What were some of the biggest struggles when you first started? So you started in around 2012 with your own property. Someone reached out to you that you were hosting a guest, and they gave you their property to manage. As you're taking on these properties, from the platform, I assume is how you're finding your new clients. What were some of the challenges that you saw with starting the business?
Yeah, so there's a few. You don't ever want to tell a homeowner that their home isn't great. They designed it a lot of times, and so we have to look out for our guests, right? So we have two clients. One is the homeowner, and one is the guest, and we have to kind of sit in the middle of both of those. And we're a marketplace for both of those two people. Trying to encourage homeowners to invest in their property, make it nicer so that it'll at the end of the day make them more money. The other thing that happens that we've learned in this business is that if a guest sees that you respect your home, you take care of it, it's well designed, they're going to treat your home with more respect as well, which I guess touches on another big one, is respect and being better community members. Los Angeles in particular, I know Miami has this problem. I'm sure New York has this problem. And it's not really just limited to these cities, but we have a big party problem here. People think that they want to plan their bachelorette party. They want to come to our homes. For a long time, short-term rentals were seen as the place you come for parties. I heard that some of the major booking sites just last year finally said that, you are not allowed to have parties in these homes. And so, that this is a problem that the entire industry is facing around the world as different jurisdictions, different city councils put laws into place that try to limit short-term rentals. And really, truthfully, that there was a moment I want to say it was around 2017. Party homes were getting really, really bad. I'm not going to go into too many stories, but it was getting bad no matter how well we were trying to vet guests. And so we switched, we put a number of things in place that kind of, what do I want to say? Like, address these problems. So we started vetting a lot more, hardcore. We're really accepting of everyone. We're not vetting in any way towards racism or anything like that. We look for signs of respect from the first moment that they send us a message. If you send us a message and say, I want a $700 discount, that you're probably going to get told no, not only on the discount, but no, that you can't actually stay with us. Like I said, we have a really high occupancy rate. So we can tell people no if we don't think that they're showing signs of respect. And so, we always look for signs of respect of like, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're coming, which brings us to another point within our industry that really needs to be addressed. The thing that the hotel industry has over our industry, one of them is that they have, in most cases, in most hotels, they have nighttime security. And what nighttime security does is it can prevent problems. It can prevent noise issues so that the rest of the people in the hotel, think of the hotel as the same as like a community. So the rest of the people in the community for short-term rentals, so that everyone can get a good night's sleep. In our industry, we have to address nighttime security, especially in these major cities where the neighbors are fed up. They're sick of people coming and having a party over the course of a weekend, and they can't sleep. And these are major things. So we're addressing the nighttime security. We're vetting. We have a 24-hour hotline, or I don't really call it a hotline. It's more like we have live chat, and we have a team that works 24 hours a day, so that if anything does come up, they have plans in place of how to handle it. So we're really kind of trying to address how to be better members of the community. I think this is a really major part moving forward. And I think we have a lot of work to do. And, I'm truthfully looking for leadership. And I guess, hopefully by talking about this, we can start to kind of talk more about this issue, because we really do need to address this. It's not only in our city, but it's something that really needs to be addressed. Because we owe it to be better members of the community.
When you say nighttime security, if you have 80 properties, do you have like a security guard that's going to each individual property? Like, how does that work?
I think that the hope for me, at least to start, and this is kind of, is to hire a security company and give them the contact information for our team. We have a virtual assistant team based in Kenya. And so that and then also we're in touch with a number of the neighbors from all of our homes. Like we give them our contact information, not necessarily mine, because I'm asleep at 2 a.m. We have to have someone that's going to get that call and know what to do. But so hiring a security team, and we're looking for it right now. We haven't found this yet, but we're looking for the right team to come in to partner with. I know there are nighttime patrol companies, but also this is, I wrote a blog post today. This is a good opportunity for a young entrepreneur. We're in a major moment where there's a lot of people that are unemployed. If you started a company that was doing nighttime security, where we had a direct connection with you, and all you would have to do is go check out a house if we had any complaints whatsoever. It's something that we're looking for right now, because we want to be proactive, and we want to be leaders in changing the stigma around short-term rentals and the noise complaints that they're getting in communities.
Are these like parties happening at the luxury properties, or are they happening at like lower quality properties? What's the difference from, like, what have you seen in this increase in these party houses? Yeah, so they're happening everywhere. They're happening at the lower. They're happening on, and it's not only in LA, but they're happening everywhere. The higher end houses, it sometimes becomes more of a problem, because I'm not going to say who it was, but we had a rapper try to have a birthday party, and it was very clear that they couldn't have events, found out about it the day before. And luckily, we're able to put them in touch with somebody that wanted to have the party at their house. But it would have been a huge nightmare. They actually invited us to the party, and it was a lot of fun. But it was nice to pair them up with somebody that actually wanted to have the party at their house versus this, $20 million estate. All of a sudden, someone's trying to have a party behind your back. It was going to go really wrong. And so, it happens on the low end. It happens on the high end. It's happening everywhere.
And neighbors are fed up. I would be fed up. I had a roommate that used to stay up way too late, and it made me mad. I want to sleep. So I get it. And, our industry has a long way to go here.
So do you have like dedicated like party houses, like clients that you manage for that allow people to have events?
We don't do events at all. Actually, a funny story. We hired someone on the design team. She's based in Palm Springs. She's like, "Oh, I heard of your company, and I wanted to book my friend's bachelorette party there, but I chose not to because I saw how strict you guys are about no parties." And so, and now she works at our company, and she's great. But there are companies out there that are looser about their policies. We're just strict about it. Going back to the occupancy rates, we can be strict because we're doing this better than most people in LA, especially. And so we, yeah. I mean, you can try to have a party on us, but there's clauses in the contracts, and you can lose your security deposit. There's a lot. LA's starting to crack down on this as well, and we try to be very clear up front with them. We make them sign a good neighbor commitment. Every single guest that stays with us, we take this really seriously.
When did you start defining like which type of properties that you'd be taking on as a new property manager? And you're trying to transition and build up this business. Did you have like any definition right away, or how did you start to scale your clients and team?
Yeah, so this is always kind of adapting and changing. Like going back to what I said, we're looking to partner with homeowners that really care about the guest experience. So, if you own a $400,000 home in Palm Springs, but really, really care about the experience, then we're going to be there with you, and we're gonna help you manage that.
You said that you'll manage someone that has a $400,000 property, and you'll manage people that have $20 million estates. But how, what exactly, when you say like, I'm going to work with someone that cares about the guests, if you're managing the property on their behalf, isn't it kind of up to the property manager? Like, how does that relate to the homeowner?
Totally. What I mean by that is the design of their home, the upkeep of their home. Are they willing to invest the necessary money so that it's on kind of our level? I'll give you another example. So this woman, she's the CEO of a company. I've known her for years. She actually was my tenant in New York. She rented my apartment for years. She's lovely. She's so great. Anyway, so we have this house that's $5 million, mid-century modern, beautiful home in the Hollywood Hills. I got in there and with the homeowner and we designed it. And this was earlier on in the business. Designed it really what I thought was nicely, but probably not necessarily up to the standards of what is a $5 million house should have for the price that she was paying. And she sat us down. We went up there to see her and over tea and biscuits. And she sat us down and she said, "Look," she's like, "in creating your brand," she's like, "you have to have standards here." She said, "I stayed at your house that you own. I've stayed there many times. It's one of my favorite houses." And she said, "This house is not up to that standard. And you can't be charging this high nightly rate. And you're building a brand here. And you really have to work with the homeowner to make sure that, we're the experts. Listen to us. We need to have it on a certain level of quality." Okay, another example. You can probably get away with doing some Wayfair stuff in your home if you're designing a $400,000 house that you want to look nice, but you can get away with some more Wayfair. But if you put Wayfair or IKEA in a really expensive home, the people who walk in your home are going to know, and they're going to leave you a 1 or 2 star review. And your business is that home itself is not, it's going to suffer. It's not going to do well. So, it's having that partnership with homeowners and really working together to make sure that we're offering the level of experience that's necessary for the amount of money that they're hoping to make per month on their home.
So you'll turn away people if they're not willing to invest into the property. I mean, how do you work with someone that, if they have, a luxury piece of real estate, obviously they're probably at this point in life where maybe they have multiple pieces of property or maybe they don't have the time. So, how do you kind of dance around that where you're trying to bring a property up to the standard for a short-term rental, with these, high net worth clients?
Yeah, so we have a design. We have open air design by Interior Particulier. Interior Particulier is my husband's company. I got really lucky that uh, being with a hospitality designer. Well, he's an interior designer, but for us, he does hospitality design. We try to encourage them to work with him, or find someone else to work with if they don't have the time to do it. You know, we're growing fast enough right now, especially that it's pretty easy to spot a homeowner that really, wants to buy an expensive home and furnish it with IKEA. And we just tell them no. We say, I'll introduce you to someone that'll do it. I know people who will do it. Um, Going back to, we really care about the 5-star experience for our guests. And the only way to have the reviews that we have over the years that we've done it is by having those hard conversations with homeowners and making sure that we're all on the same page before we start working together.
I personally find, like, being an entrepreneur, you have a bunch of ideas and, it's like, oh, I can design properties, I can manage properties, I can, help purchase properties, I can do all these different things. And, like you said, it's a really good, really good cycle, a triad if you're able to, manage these, but at the same time, maybe people might feel overwhelmed or feel like, these are things that I can do, but at the same time, when I try to do them, I'm not able to grow my business in the way that I want. Did you ever experience any of those types of challenges as you were growing your business?
Yeah. So I've worn every single hat at this company. And so I know from being a young entrepreneur that's starting up, that you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to have to do every single thing yourself. You're not going to have the money to invest at first to do all these things. So I've worn every hat here. I was at one of these like mixers for short-term rentals, and this woman that has a smaller business than us, this was years ago. She said, "Oh, I have my 3 assistants that work for me, and they do all of this and this and this." And I told myself in that moment, I was like, I don't want to have 3 assistants. I want to have a director of operations. I want to have a CFO. I want to have a CMO, a marketing expert. We can't just look at this like I have assistants that all do these things. We have to develop a real business. And so it was sort of in that moment, because we were about the same size, I think, when that conversation was happening. I just knew then and there, I was like, I'm going to invest in people to be able to grow this brand the way that I want to. And so, I've seen I would for a young entrepreneur, I would just say, get started, start with 1 property. Do your best at design. End of the day, we're all in the design business. If we're in this business, like if you don't get that right, your occupancy is going to suffer. Your reviews are going to suffer. So you're going to wear a lot of hats at first, and then as you grow, you're just going to find dedicated people that want to understand that it's a startup and will help you figure out a lot of things that you just over time you get more and more and more taken off your plate. And that's.
Are you focused on just trying to maintain this type of system that you've already built, or have you been trying to grow your property count, or like how do you define what is a good thing to have versus what you could be potentially achieving?
Yeah. So I think we really want to grow with intention. Going back to, I don't want to be this company that raises a bunch of venture capital and then tries to buy up smaller companies and try to merge them into one. I think that going back to, we're really obsessed with getting great reviews all the time. So when COVID happened, we applied for the PPP. We got money from the government, which allowed us to actually hire in that moment. And so we took that moment, we kind of stepped back and we realized, like, okay, these 6 homeowners, we have to drop them. They're, that this is not really the direction we want to go with our company. They're taking up a lot of our time and energy. This is the direction we want to go. So we hired a lot of people at that time and really started to grow. And so now we have a sales, we hired someone from Airbnb from the Lux division to run our entire sales division. And so that's been going really, really well. We hired a marketing, a CMO, and he's doing a great job. And so we're advertising on Yelp now. We're advertising on Facebook, Instagram. Kind of hate that I'm giving money to Mark Zuckerberg, but it's kind of a necessary evil for growing. And so we are expanding. We're opening in 2 new markets in 2021, and then in our business plan, it's 4 markets in the year after that, and then 12 markets in the year after that. But going back to we're only going to grow if we know we can kind of control that process and offer a good experience for all of our guests.
Hey, this is Julian, and I wanted to be able to give you our newest book, Airbnb Secrets Revealed: How to Build a Fortune on Airbnb Without Owning Property. In this book, we talk about the concepts of rental arbitrage investing as well as co-hosting and how you can build a business leveraging other people's properties. This book is perfect for the new short-term rental investor, and it's something that I wish that I had when I first started, as it would have saved me a lot of trouble and helped me to understand how to be able to leverage the power of short-term rental investing in your own real estate portfolio. If you'd like to get our newest book completely for free, go to shorttermsage.com/free book. Now, back to the show. A lot of people are probably listening right now that are thinking like, hey, I wanted to get started in short-term rentals. I see the possibility, Airbnb's IPO, it went bangers. It's doing really well. But COVID happened and I'm not sure about short-term rentals as a thing, but you're saying that you're growing even right now. Was that just because of the PPP or was there something a little bit more sustainable there that you saw the need to be able to grow your business?
Yeah, so a couple things happened. Los Angeles going back to the laws, Los Angeles came down with some pretty harsh laws. You're allowed 120 days of short-term rentals a year. 30-day rentals do not count as short-term rentals. And we were seeing a growing trend when they started this law about 2 years ago, where we switched to extended stays in our homes. And so out of necessity, we had to do it. A lot of our competition closed down at that time. They didn't think that they'd be able to rent their homes out for a month or 2 months. You are seeing such a demand for 1 to 3 month rentals in Los Angeles and in Palm Springs. I think people are sick of their homes and they just want to work from a different home. And I don't think that COVID is an accelerant, and it was accelerating things that were already happening. That trend, I think, is here to stay. As people become digital nomads, they're not really going back to the work life that they knew. A lot of times these people are in tech, they're young, and they're staying for much longer periods of time. So what ended up happening was, since when you're doing these longer stays, a month or 2, you have more free time to grow and to think about the things that you want to do. So we're really kind of out of the business entirely. My belief is that if you're going to stay somewhere under 3 nights, you should probably get a hotel. I think maybe 3 nights in certain cities, like, okay, everyone's going to have a different opinion of this, but I think that going back to the party homes, the shorter stays sort of are used by a lot of people to have a great time and really, let loose. And so we're gearing our business towards, 4-day, 5-day minimums at a lot of them. Some are 30-day minimums. So
2 things there. One is a lot of people are afraid of COVID, as far as, short-term rentals as a, profitable business. And then the second thing that you said is like the regulations changing, LA coming down, month-long rentals. As a short-term rental, manager, that's kind of the bread and butter. A lot of people think is like, those, 5 to 7 days is the, the real sweet spot. But if you need to, being able to have the ability to get in, some 2-3 day bookings, is nice to be able to fill up your calendar, and try to keep it fully occupied. But you're saying that you're trying to shift your business towards more medium term stay corporate clients.
They're not necessarily corporate clients. I call them digital nomads. But yeah, we are shifting our business towards that, not exclusively. I think that a lot of times these people take better care of homes. They're staying for longer periods of time than the 2 or 3 night rentals. I understand the need to fill gaps. A lot of times we'll try to, going back to, we operate in cities where the occupancy rate, the demand is so high. So, since we don't have an occupancy problem, we can, we're happy to leave a day or 2 gap here or there to fix up the home. But we're not really trying to maximize return on investment for our homeowners, because they're not necessarily the people that want to maximize return on investment. They want to maintain their asset, and they want to be good neighbors with us. And so, they're understanding that there's going to be a few days that are unfilled. And we really try to not do too many of those short-term rentals. There's some homes that we allow them a little bit more for various reasons, but we are kind of gearing our business towards these longer stays.
So it's almost kind of more like an in-between of like a corporate housing company, because, with like corporate housing, a lot of these traditional corporate housing companies, they'll give the owners a percentage of whatever bookings that the property is able to fill with a tenant. But if the property is not occupied, then the owner doesn't make any money. Why would someone be interested in, offering their property, maybe it's not to a corporate housing company that, works with larger corporations, and instead work with a company like Open Air Homes, where, maybe your dedicated source of, clients or bookings is not coming from corporations. Instead, it's coming from like these OTAs or traveling nomads. Just to clarify, so what would be, why would somebody want to list their property with someone that provides housing not for the purpose of profit, but more for sustainability, instead of working with maybe a corporate housing company that will, have someone that's working from like a corporation, as opposed to someone that is just looking to travel like a nomad?
I think I hope I understand the question right, but I think it goes back to, since we have such a strong sense of design, since we're doubling down on those different types of things, we've never really had to rely on corporate housing whatsoever, going after the corporate housing type of traveler. I don't think that the corporations are going to pay $15,000 or $20,000 a month, unless it's the CEO of a company, to stay in our homes. A lot of our homes average around $15,000 to $20,000 a month. So that's sort of our bread and butter here in LA. And so, we've really kind of never even pursued the corporate housing route, back to high occupancy. My belief is that by the things that we do, the 5-star reviews plus the design of the homes, occupancy is not a concern of ours.
So, why would somebody be interested in, purchasing, this really expensive real estate and, paying for the designer, really getting a super impeccable property that can afford, these $15,000 to $20,000 months, if they're not going to be, generating, a significant profit?
Oh, so, a lot of times people are buying homes in LA because they want to move into it full time, or at least part of the year, in a couple of years down the line. And I should go back and I should clarify, return on investment by maximizing the 1 to 2 day rentals is not really what our homeowners are about. Our homeowners skew much wealthier, and for them, it's about protecting this asset. When they come home, they want to walk into a house that doesn't have a ton of wear and tear, that hasn't had a bunch of parties in it. They're more looking for someone that's going to, make them some money, have less groups coming in and out of their home. They're still making, it just depends on when they bought the home and if they're making money on it or breaking even. Our cap rate in LA is not nearly as high as so many other places that you can go and buy a home. The real estate industry has been booming here since I was a kid. My parents, I think, bought a home for $300,000 that then later could sell for, 10 years later for, $1 million. So, $1 million, maybe even $2 million. So real estate here is doing really well. A lot of times our clients are buying homes here because they want to be here. They don't want to be here year round necessarily yet. A lot of them are younger, but they do consider LA like a part of their real estate portfolio that's important to them. And really they care about the maintenance of their home and the fact that it's in good shape when they get home to it, more than they do about maximizing return on investment.
Is there a difference from how you're analyzing a property that is maybe, let's say, 400,000 versus 20 million, and how much revenue can potentially bring in, and what type of guests will be staying at the property? I imagine $20 million real estate probably doesn't have as much competition in the area? So I imagine it's probably a little bit more challenging to be able to find comparables, or are you just coming up? How do you come up with the numbers for these?
Yeah, it's a discussion with the homeowners. We work with the homeowners to figure out what they want to make. A lot of times these are like really high end homes. The owner might own a home in Beverly Hills and then own a second home in Malibu. And so when you rent out their Malibu home, they'll go to Beverly Hills, and when you rent out the Beverly Hills home, they'll go to Malibu. So we work with them. Some of our homeowners want a price really high, and we tell them like, look, if you want that rate, you're probably only going to rent the summer months, and they're fine with that. A lot of our homeowners, they get they get a few rentals a year, but that's really kind of all they want. They're not really seeing this as a business. It's more just to sort of offset some of their expenses.
But how can you maintain like your business if they're not getting occupied? Are they just charging so much that you're able to live off of the revenue share from those stays, or like how are you able to sustain your business?
Yeah, this is sort of the way that I see it is so we have homes that are 9-month or full year round rental properties, and then we have some of these like the more the flashy homes that are on the website that they only want to rent it a few months or a year. So we like to have them because people like to look at them online, but that's not really kind of the core of what our business is. And so, yeah, that's that. We have these homes, we rent them out, and they're great to have, but it's not the core part of our business.
So you don't believe that like really, really high end real estate where maybe they're only using it for, or they're only wanting to list it for some time is a very sustainable business? Is there like a primary business that you kind of found in the middle that is sustainable?
Yeah, so the $15,000 to $25,000 a month homes seem to be the spot where we get a lot of inquiries and a lot of people that are coming to LA wanting to spend that much per month. The $50,000, the $100,000 homes a month, they sit a little bit longer. There's less of a traveler in those homes, and so they're nice to add to the website. They're beautiful homes. I love going to them, but it's not really sort of, I would say that there was a lot of spec development in LA, and now a lot of these people are sitting there with these very, very high end homes that they built that they can't necessarily sell. And so a lot of, there's a lot of supply, of these really, really high, expensive monthly priced homes. And so, they just don't rent as much right now.
And how do you approach or find these types of clients where you're able to rent out the spaces for 15 to 20,000? Is that just like, yeah, like how do you find that? Is there just like a proliferation of them in LA, or is that like what everybody has, or?
It's so a $15,000 to $25,000 a month home would be about maybe a $3 million, $4 million home. Venice Beach, the homes are about $3 million right now. When I started buying real estate there, they were 1.5, not necessarily 3, maybe 2.5 right now. So we've just seen the real estate industry just do really, really well. But these homeowners are coming to us in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they're just searching on Airbnb and they see like, wow, this company has like 2 4-star reviews in the course of 7 or 8 years. And, there's a bunch of different ways that people find us, or sometimes it's a referral. I've learned that real estate agents are sort of need to be our best friend in this industry. They refer so many clients to us. Because, one of the things going back to what Airbnb, this idea that they launched, and they launched it in me too, and which is why I'm here in this industry, is this idea that, you can unlock living in a number of cities, and then you can have a company like Open Air Homes. If you want to live in Italy and you want to live in New York, and you choose 4 cities, this is a number of our homeowners are like this. And they live incredible lives. It's our job the day before they arrive to make sure that it looks exactly like it looked before they left. And they get to hop around to these 4 homes, as an example, that they live in around the world, only traveling to the ones that they want to live in the times of year that they want to live there. And then the rest of the time, they're working with us to rent it out, and people are really, really happy. in these homes because they are fully realized homes. Like the owners of these homes live in them themselves. You're not going to find a cheap plastic spatula, one spatula for, a 4-bedroom house. You're going to find, Cuisinart. You're going to find, Victorinox knives. You're going to find like the stuff that they use. And I think that's sort of, the difference with our homeowners than, people that just see it as an investment property.
You said that you hired some additional people. Did you hire like a salesperson to actively go out and try to find these types of homeowners?
Yeah. So his name's Larry Renner. Congrats on the IPO, Larry. He worked at Airbnb for a while. So he signed me up for luxury retreats about 8 or 9 years ago. And we became friends at that time. And so he's our salesperson, and he's based out of Palm Springs. He's on calls with me every day, talking to homeowners here in LA as well. Now that we're marketing, we're getting 2 calls a day at this point. And, they're not all necessarily going to be the right fit for us, but it's just starting to, just kind of go crazy.
With that hire, that was specifically to try to be able to target, luxury retreats to try to find these clients.
Yeah. So the industry's changed a lot since Larry was working at luxury retreats. A lot of people, if they're already in this industry. So, a lot of times if we're not poaching homeowners, but if homeowners are unhappy with their management company, we're getting a lot of homes that way. And Larry is sort of in charge of helping us find the luxury homes. But, since we are still a startup, he's the market manager of Palm Springs. So he is the manager of that market, even though there's employees underneath him. So he's kind of wearing multiple hats at this point in time. Maybe in the future he'll just be just our sales, but for now he's wearing multiple hats. And going back to that, I have such a great team of people that work here. There's about 26 total. They're passionate about what they do. It's a team of people that all love working here, and that's really great to see. It really does come down to the people that you work with. We're a close-knit group of people, and it's fun to grow a company with them because as we're succeeding, they're all succeeding, and we can all succeed together. And that's, it's really, with COVID, it's been a rough moment that everyone's working from home, but we try to keep it lively. We're on Zoom calls every day, and it's a really great group of people.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced with, trying to scale your team?
So I hired an HR to kind of create the company culture, and I think she's been hiring in her previous jobs. Like her job is to hire. I don't think I'm the best person as someone that hires people because I just have a conversation and I like them and I'm like, oh great, come join us and we'll put you to work. But what she's really done is been able to find the right people for the right roles. Since I wore every hat at this company, maybe I start to think like, oh, everyone can do every role here. But really what you learn is that like, no, there's someone that's like really good at operations. There's someone that is just naturally a really good salesperson. We have to find the right people for the right roles. And so that, a lot of times it's not that it doesn't work with certain employees because they're the wrong fit necessarily. It's just they're in the wrong role. So that's been a big learning curve for me as we're starting to grow.
And with the expansion going into new markets, is that because like LA is kind of tapped out, or like why focus on like a new market at this point?
Yeah, so we want to be in places where people want to own a vacation home and want to spend a portion of their time, not necessarily all the time. I think that going back to our main clients are people who, want to spend just a portion of their year in these different markets. And so we've identified what those markets are. Next year, we're going up to Napa Valley, Sonoma. James, who's our in business development here at the company, he's from there. So he's gonna go up there and he's gonna be the market manager. So we're using LA as sort of this training ground where he's learning the business and he's learning how to do things really, really well. And then we'll expand up there later this year. And I guess if anyone's listening to this and has 2 or 3 properties in a city that you think would fit with what we're doing, I realize that there's a number of entrepreneurs out there that like it can get daunting if you have 2 or 3 properties. And you want them to be you want it to go really, really well. I think that we are looking for those like really, really great people that might want to come join with what we're doing, and kind of grow that way as well. I'd rather hire people that already have a passion for this industry. So, I guess if anyone's listening and wants, to talk, please reach out to us.
With around 80 properties, and you have around, you said around 50 people on your team, or 26 like of your core?
Full time and then part time, but there's a lot. If you count cleaners, if you count everyone, we employ a lot of people, and that's the thing that I keep saying to the local governments when they come in with stronger and stronger laws. We've had a hard time in LA adjusting to these laws and pivoting our business as a result. But we're employing. I mean, I'm sitting at this house and we have landscapers outside right now. I love that I'm able to employ so many people, especially in this tough moment. It's really, really great that we're able to do this. And there's about 50. There's probably more if we actually count them.
And as far as your executive team, you have around 6. I mean, how are you able to like afford such a large team with like the property count? Is that just because it's like a higher end real estate? Because a lot of the hosts that I talk to, on the show, around maybe 80 properties. The teams are typically, could be anywhere from like, maybe 4 or 5 people sometimes. But to see like that many people on payroll has got to be, kind of daunting.
I shouldn't say payroll. It's payroll plus independent contractor, right? So it's not necessarily all of those people are on payroll. There's a lot. We use a lot of. We work with a lot of people that want this more flexible life, where they might just work the weekends for us, or we have a lot of people that are. But also we're doing higher end rentals, and so there's just more. I would say commission that we earn from those deals. And then I guess the other thing too is we going back to we got a bunch of money during COVID and the PPP, and now we're kind of in this moment where we're going through our first raise to be able to scale. So we are overspending in an effort to grow. As we're onboarding, we're in the process of onboarding about 14 homes right now. That takes having a team of people here that are doing that. So we did overhire, and as long as we kind of stick to the goals of when we're going to finish our raise, we're not going to have to furlough anyone. But
not we haven't talked to too many property managers that are going through the raise cycle. For a property manager like yourself, you started off with your own primary residence, but now you're building a much larger company where you're raising capital through, was it venture capital?
Not really. We're going to do a friends and family round. So it's not really, we don't really want to go after venture capitalists. I don't want to be, I don't want to be forced. We're in a really important moment of our world right now. I hope that we're going to step back and realize that like we need to change how we do some things here, and not, and I don't want to bring on a venture capitalist that forces us to grow and too fast. I really, these things that like I go back to like the community. I care a lot about making sure we're better members of the community, and that takes investing back into our system so that we can be better at that. So, we're raising money from, some outside investors, but people that are more closer to us. Some of our homeowners are probably going to come in on it as well. So yeah.
I mean, what's kind of the mindset or the intentionality? Like, is this not something that you can just scale without having to raise outside capital, or what's the real to give up a portion of the company, for this capital? Like, how does that, is that just being applied to like hiring employees, or like how does that work?
Yeah, so we're going to raise about $600,000, and then we're going to scale to these different cities. To move into these different cities is going to take some capital. We're raising money for both entities that in an investment vehicle below the OA Real Estate Group and then the Open Air Homes. We really see the real estate side of things as like, one of the things that's really going to drive our business forward. So we're gonna invest heavily in both of those as we expand to these different cities. Our team, I think our team, we've only, the real estate team has been in business now for about 4 months. I think we started in September with Douglas Elliman, and we've closed, over $11 million worth of real estate. So, they're doing well. And, we want to expand what we've done here in LA and in Palm Springs to these new markets. I would rather have multiple engines of the open air ecosystem kind of all working, the design, all these different, engines of the business kind of operating and working well versus trying to just kind of grow and being in every city of the United States. I want to stay in cities where people want to spend a good portion of their time as a homeowner. Like I think that for us, it may be a little bit different how we work compared to a lot of the competitors. A lot of these other competitors, they don't want their homeowners in the home. They would prefer that they rent it out almost year round. But for me, if a homeowner's here for 3 months out of the year, like going back to, it's a fully realized home. There's, their books are here. There's coffee table books. It feels like a real home and it feels like a real experience. Whereas sometimes with these vacation homes that are just, an investment vehicle for people, you can kind of lose a little bit of that. So that sort of is our business model is partnering with people that do want to live in their home for a portion of the year, and then we'll manage it the rest of the year.
And so the real estate team, you said, is a pretty key component with this whole system. So you're less focused on trying to just maybe scale, just acquiring properties under management, but you're trying to work out, this cycle where, a property owner purchases a piece of real estate through you guys with the intent for it to be multi-use. And, these are going to be probably more high net worth clients that are looking at this as, maybe not so much an investment vehicle, but just more of a lifestyle asset.
Yeah. And going back to that, we have to have other homeowners that it's an investment vehicle for them. And then in those cases, what we do is we try to either encourage our design team or them to hire designers so that, it is a fully realized home as well. So, we do both. But, we're more than happy to partner with a homeowner that wants to live there half the year, as well. Some of these homes that we have that the homeowner lives there half the year, they're beautiful homes, and, they treat it as if it's their own. And then that handoff to us, they're putting a lot of faith in us that when they come back, their antiques that they've purchased, the really nice stuff that they have, it's going to be in the same condition.
I think it's, gonna wrap up here, but I think it's really interesting, just the different types of short-term rental investing strategies. Like you guys have obviously kind of found your niche and what you're trying to focus on with where you see this kind of, what you've identified, kind of your niche. Are there like a lot of other people in the space that are, focused on this, multi-use type of asset as opposed to, dedicated short-term rental? Or I guess you guys are kind of like an urbanized vacation rental is kind of the feel that I'm getting.
I'm sure that there are, and I think it just depends on the cities in which they're operating. I'm sure there are other companies that are doing what we're doing, similar to how we're doing it. I know a lot of homeowners that turn over their home to turnkey, and they still want to use their home as well. So there are companies that are doing it, and they're doing it larger than we're doing it. I think that a lot of times the difference is just, we will accept nothing less than a 5-star review. It's just, we kind of call a whole, like a hands on deck, like a team meeting of whoever was involved whenever there's a review that's anything less than 5 stars. Cause, we want to address what was the issue, what went wrong, and how can we get it better next time. So I think that really, we grow slower as a result, right? If you want to do it really, really well every single time, the onboarding process becomes like really intense. And so, yes, I think that we still have a number of hurdles to figure out as well, in order to be able to scale and kind of grow to these new cities that we're going to.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you taking the time, and, would love to have you back on as you work out those hurdles, and, have you on the show again as you guys are growing and scaling and figuring things out.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of your show. I love that you're doing this and putting this out there. I think people they can learn a lot from you, and thank you for doing this every week. It's really incredible.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Brad. And what's the best way if anybody wants to be able to connect with you? How could they get in touch?
Yeah. So you can reach me at brad@openairhomes.com. I'll get back to you. I'll respond. You questions, I sometimes just hop on the phone with young entrepreneurs that are starting businesses, and I'll give you more of my time than I think that they expect. I love to talk to young people that are trying to figure out what their hurdles are in this space. So contact me, and I'd love to chat with you.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. And of course, I'll include all the links, website, direct booking, all of that in the description box below. Thanks so much, Brad. Until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting.
Awesome. Thank you, Julian.
Hope you hosts benefited from the show. If you found value, please go on over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let us know what you enjoy about the show. If you'd like to talk to hosts that have been featured in these episodes as well as the community, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation.